ThunderCats!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenny, the voice of Lion-O, here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know if you listen to the podcast Radical Retro Rewind.
I love it. All of it.
Radical Retro Rewind.
She even looks older.
Likes my art collection?
Yeah, we've heard that one before, Mummy.
What is it? I heard him shout.
Oh yeah, ThunderCats! Ho!
Who you calling a hoe?
Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother and mine, David, and our frequent ThunderCats guest host, Zack. Today, we have a special episode because we are joined by someone who has helped shape the world of ThunderCats, as we know. Writer, story editor, and showrunner Peter Lawrence. From helping shape the stories and tones of the show over 4 seasons to crafting some of the most memorable episodes, his work has lasting impact on fans across generations. He also served as head writer on SilverHawks and the comic strip at Rankin, as well as Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates and the Real Adventures of Jonny Quest. And Peter's ThunderCat journey has started up again recently as he connects with crew members and fans, or aficionados as he likes to call us, through his blog series ThunderCat of the Day and his podcast Beyond Thundera alongside our friend Sean Buddha McEwen. Please welcome Peter Lawrence.
Hi, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
I mean, this is an honor for us.
Thank you for being here.
So first off, I should mention, we do call our listeners Bunglers, Peter. That is, of course, because mumm-ra and various other characters have
used the word bungler quite often throughout the show, and it just tickled us, so to
speak. So if you hear bunglers, it's all with affection. And this is actually the first time that our Zack is talking to Peter.
That's true, Peter. It's really nice to meet you face to face.
Me too. You saw your post on the website, right?
Not yet, no.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it go up, no.
Oh, it's definitely on there. Something may have gone wrong, but it was up.
That's awesome.
I tried to identify myself here as AKA mumm-ra. Too many letters.
For anyone who can't see Peter, he does have an amazing mumm-ra background. He's coming out of the tomb, and this is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love that.
It's crystal clear, too.
Better than my regular office background, which is extremely boring. So.
I just want to say we put it out to all of the bunglers that you were going to be on the show, and we were inundated with so many questions. So we really had to condense because we actually got a lot of questions, a lot of comments. So we tried to condense as much as possible to get as much in as possible, not to leave anybody out. So just for anybody that's listening, we did try to get as much in as possible. So.
Yes. So Peter, have you always been a storyteller? And do you remember the first story that you did write?
Yeah, I went to a boarding school in a very remote part of Africa, and at the age of about probably 9, 10, went into that sort of classic English class with the teacher who, of course, is that long ago, was sort of crazy ex-RAF bomber pilot. And he said, well, write something about what you did in the holidays. So I started, and I didn't write anything about what I did in the holidays. I started to write a story. And, of course, the time's up. Well, I handed it in. I said, well, I haven't finished. So he said, well, how long do you need? I said, I don't know. I was a bit of an asshole when I was, I had read an awful lot with my dad. So I had a kind of slightly more literary, I would say background, but anyway, I knew a lot more about story and this, that, and the other, and mostly adult, detective books and things like that with my dad. So anyway, make a long story short, he said, well, just carry on writing. And the term lasted 3 months, and I think we had maybe 1 class a day to do this. I never finished the story. That was the first thing I ever wrote. And it's basically, thanks to him, his name was Birdie Johnson, that, okay, fine, I'll do this. That's what I could do. And I think I was 9 or 10.
Oh, so very young then you decided.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been reading, I spent a lot of time with my dad because my parents, I had a rather odd childhood story with my parents. I spent a lot of time with my father, who was, in addition to being an alcoholic, was a tremendous reader. And he introduced me to James Thurber, to Raymond Chandler, to Dashiell Hammett, Damon, I mean, all kinds of, Stephen Steinbeck, very, very young. And we used to read together. So, I was really plugged into that. And he had written a couple of books himself. So,
do you find that you're drawn to telling a certain kind of story because of those early exposures to those sorts of authors and stories?
A certain kind of story, did you say?
Yeah.
No, I basically write just about anything. I mean, the first professional writing, the first writing I made any money out of was I can't believe this. I worked for a computer company. It's the one job I've ever had in my life, and it didn't last very long. But on the one hand, you had engineers, because it was that long ago, and on the other hand, you had clients. And the engineers didn't know how to talk to the clients, and the clients didn't know how to talk to the engineers, because it was all a complete mystery to everybody. And so somehow I got stuck in the middle. And so I would translate sort of engineering speak to client speak and client speak to engineering speak, and they paid me. I didn't know.
Love it.
So that's the first time I made any money out of writing. And then I went into, I can't remember whether I wrote the novel first with Chris, that was pretty young, or whether, in fact, I think I wrote a screenplay and sold it instantly, which was unheard of, very, very young. So basically I write anything. And then I wrote a lot of comedy. And of course, once I got into ThunderCats and all the action adventure, because of the way that Hollywood, quote unquote, is, oh, well, you're the action adventure guy. You can't write comedy. Excuse me, I started with comedy. It doesn't matter. So you get stereotyped. But no, I basically write anything, everything, anything. A lot of checks.
I love that. So following up on that, one of our longest listeners is named Mitesh. He is from England. Matter of fact, Peter, we have a email we're going to forward to you because he had such beautiful words written to you that we would love to pass along to you. So after the episode, he's also the one who coined the term bunglers for our listeners. So we have to thank Mitesh for that. He says, Peter, I've read and heard interviews you've done explaining your life growing up in Zambia. Hearing you talk about all the natural dangers around when you were growing up, did any of this inspire you to create the harsh, dangerous environments on Third Earth? Because as David here always says, everything on Third Earth is going to kill you. Down from the lake to the sky to anything you're walking on, it will kill you. We'll try to kill you.
Well, not the burbles. The burbles won't kill you. Well, they may kill you. No, not really. I mean, I think it's always a little bit difficult talking about Africa for me because it's probably the most, to me, not to anybody else, significant thing in my life. But it only was a short period of time. I mean, I went to England to go to university, so basically it was my childhood and some adolescence.
Yes.
It influences me immensely. Hugely. I can't tell you how much. And in fact, even now when people say, well, where are you from? I hear the accent, and my instant response is Africa. But in fact, I spent more time in England, more time in Europe, more time in the United States than I ever did in Africa. Nonetheless, it influences me immensely. And it's probably another conversation and probably beyond what we're talking about now as to how and why. But I think unless you're blind, deaf and dumb, if you grow up in Africa, and perhaps even particularly as a white guy, and particularly very, very remote area, which I was, you're probably much more open to things like, animism, metaphysics, things that you can't necessarily touch or feel or they're just there.
Yes.
You're probably much more open to that. And nowadays, unless you kind of crazed California woo-woo person, all that stuff, people think you're crazy. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't talk about it anymore. I did write about it in a kind of semi-autobiographical book, but that's it. But no, sorry, to be more direct, I don't think my experience in Africa affected any single thing I did on ThunderCats.
Okay.
I don't think.
And I know we would love to hear it. I mean, even in the future, I would love to go deeper and hear about you growing up there and how it did inspire you, because that sounds like there's a lot to go in there with.
No, I'm completely open about it. I'd be happy to. I just, you said we have a lot of questions. I didn't want to.
Peter, you've shared this history elsewhere, but for the bunglers out there who might not know, can you quickly share with us how you came to join the ThunderCats team at Rankin Bass and explain what your role became?
I have told the story a lot of times, but basically I had worked. Rankin Bass had a movie of the week called Sins of Dorian Gray, based on an Oscar Wilde novel. And the director was a friend of mine, a guy that I'd worked with and was a friend of mine. And he didn't like the script. And he persuaded Jules Bass, and Rankin Bass were notoriously tight-fisted about all their fees. But he persuaded Jules that he needed, at least a few scenes rewritten. And so they called me in. And the script really was a piece of shit. It was awful. Had I been where I am today, I'd have just said, I'm not going to do this. Either you give me time to rewrite the whole thing. What I've missed out is they gave me 7 days. They would pay me for 7 days. Anyway, to make a long story short, I did what I could. It was horrible. It's one of the worst things you'll ever watch in your life. And I'm responsible for a lot of the horror. But I got on pretty well with Jules. And funnily enough, I kind of fell out with my buddy, the director, for whom I never worked again, actually. But I've never put that together until very recently. And I don't think that was the reason. I just think it was, fate or whatever. So I got on pretty well with Jules. A couple of years later, I was on a photographic shoot in Portugal, basically just kicking back. And it was in the middle of nowhere, and the phone rang. And obviously, not for me, nobody knows who I am, particularly because I was hiding anyway at that time.
Sounds good. I want to hide sometimes.
Yeah, I was hiding from various personal injuries. Anyway, the phone rang. Can't possibly be for me. So I'm just sitting by the pool, not thinking twice. And the assistant comes over and says, it's for you. What? So, okay, hello? Who's, obviously a landline. And those days. So I go, hello? It's Jules. What? How did you find me? He never told me how he found me. I never know how he found me. He said, we've got an animated show and we're having some problems getting the scripts written. Come over here. And I said, Jules, what are you talking about? I've never written an animated show. I don't know anything about animation. What are you talking about? I've never seen animation as a kid growing up because of where I was.
Yes.
The only animation I ever saw was at Victoria Station in London where they had a theatre and they played Looney Tunes and that kind of stuff. So he said, never mind, get over here. So I said, no, Jules, no. And I was perfectly okay where I was. He said, no, come over. I said, well, how much are you paying? And he said, which actually is about the first time I've ever asked that in my life. There were a lot of very strange things about ThunderCats that I'm only realizing 40 years later. Anyway, he said, it was like $2,000 or whatever. I said, you're out of your mind. I'd just been paid $40,000 to write a screenplay. What? I'm talking about 300 years ago. That was a lot of money. So eventually I got over there and they put me up in the worst hotel I've ever been in my life. And I went in there and basically started writing, I suppose, right away. And I've told the story about how I wrote a script, put it on his desk, came back the next day, say it was 35 pages of red ink. It's just, and not just comments. I mean, rude, nasty, unpleasant comments. And I thought, okay, I'm going home. I don't need this crap.
Yeah.
But something kicked in, and it's a bit like being an athlete or a sportsman. It's like competitive. Okay, I'm going to get this, and then I'm never going to do it again. So I rewrote it, put it on his desk. Came back the next day, 25 pages had red marks. I rewrote it. Came back, 15 pages had red marks. And eventually I got it to the point where there were no red marks. Wow. So I wrote another. And now this is where memory gets a little bit. In fact, I don't think it's even memory. I think it's just that there are various alternate kind of realities. Len Starr, because part of your question, Zack, is what went on after that. I think Len Starr was having trouble running the show, running the writing. He was the head writer. He'd invented the show, as you all know. Whatever anybody says, he invented it. Somebody gave him a couple of pictures, but he invented the show. That's
yes.
Never got on particularly well with Len, but I will defend to my death his creation of the show. So he was having trouble running it for whatever reason, maybe personality, I don't know. And also they had a lot of problem finding writers in New York, which is very hard to believe, but that's true. And I had trouble too. So eventually, around about script, depending 8, 10, 12, I don't know, I started editing.
Okay.
And then really became, what would now be called showrunner, and brought in not my team, but, several writers that I found, and worked with Bill Overgaard, who's like really a brother. I mean, there aren't many people you lose. Well, I haven't lost many people in my life that I've really been devastated. But Bill was like a brother to me. And so we worked very closely together. And Bill eased my way in with Len because they were contemporaries. And I think Bill explained to Len that this guy perhaps wasn't such an asshole as everybody, or as Len might have thought. And so, that's how it went.
So, as that was happening and Len transitioned to just writing select episodes or writing the 5-parters, how much did you and the other writers refer to all the foundational stuff he created? Like, he wrote a Bible, he drew that map. Were those things still foundational to you as a writing team? Len, as I've said before, Len created a base, and everything we did is built on that foundation. Everything. I mean, and I think one of the great things about the base was that it was strong enough to support somebody like Bill Overgaard, who could shoot off into left field. Somebody like Matt, who could the Looney Asylum, or Chris. The show was very strictly policed by Lee, particularly, and in fact by me in a slightly different way. I had never written a series, as far as I remember, before. I don't think, maybe comedy, but so I was pretty liberal about where we could go. But the thing that you had to fight all the time was that most writers, it was a terrible generalization, but I think this is, a lot of writers, some writers, I don't know, writers. Okay, I get it. It's ThunderCats, or it's Jonny Quest, or it's whatever it is. But I'll tell you what, I got a much better idea. I'm going to write a show about 3 camels and a dog. And, Lana would be somewhere in the corner there. And you have to get back to them and say, listen, This show is ThunderCats, and these are the characters. And we got to a stage where, in fact, at one point, we had too many guest characters, And, quite often the guest characters are more interesting. Mumm-ra was a visitor in the beginning of the show, but I think he's the most interesting character on the show.
Yes.
We were pretty strictly, we policed ourselves pretty strictly.
So I actually have 2 questions from 2 of our bunglers that will definitely play off of what you just said. So Leah from Australia, who is a great friend to the show and provides our audio. Did Peter or the other writers use the season 1 map of Third Earth at all? And how much did they pay attention to how far away locations were from one another?
Yes, we used it a lot. Second question, no, we paid absolutely no attention whatsoever. Look at the map, it's not, there's not a sort of a, 1 inch equals 100 kilometers or anything like that. It's very much a sort of conceptual, a kind of a graphic interpretation of the world and the show. And it's funny, that right now I'm working on a different iteration of the show for various reasons, which, we can talk about off camera if you like. And it's, because it's 40 years later and I don't have to deliver 2 scripts a week.
Yes.
I thought, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yes.
But somehow we sort of halfway made it make sense in the show as it was then.
And by the way, bunglers, we have a beautiful appearance by our friend Buddha. I love this.
Well, again, I was starting to say before. Again, I kind of hijacked the feed, so I apologize on the. I didn't mean to stop recording. I don't know what happened there. I'm still learning this stuff, but you guys are doing the very last episode, and you didn't think a Captain Cracker fan was not going to come in and commandeer your entire podcast? I mean, come on now, guys.
I love this.
This is amazing.
So, by the way, Buddha from Beyond Thundera podcast, we have to plug that with Peter. New every Thursday?
Every Thursday, that's right. Every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for those in the U.S.
Yes, we need to know that.
We had that issue. We have daylight savings time issues as well.
I learned the hard way myself, so I totally understand. But I apologize. I know you guys are in the middle of things.
This is an amazing surprise.
I love this. This is just amazing.
This is Thundercats for us. This is Thundercats for us.
Mind you, Ryan, your introduction. We have a beautiful introduction. What? You're talking about Buddha? Did you say beautiful?
I'm a good-looking guy, Peter, all right? I'm the cute one of the podcast, of Not Radical Retro Rewind, of Beyond Thundera.
And beautiful, and very
You're beautiful.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes, I agree.
But again, I didn't mean to interrupt. I know you guys were in the middle of things. Zach, I apologize. I think you may have been asking Peter a question. Did not mean to screw things up.
No, this is amazing.
Okay.
I love
Not
this.
at all.
This
is an amazing surprise, and it's a great celebration, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You're
here.
Into
We're going to go right into another bungler from Greece, Kostas. Thundercats became the huge success it was thanks to Leonard Starr's vision and talent for world building. And when he wrote Thundercats Ho! The movie, he introduced new characters to keep the show fresh. How much of Len's vision was still prevalent as the show went on? And did you, Peter, find that Len's ideas continued to be a guiding light?
Gee, I mean, man, some of the questions are hard, First we have to remember that we were writing under immense pressure, and there were probably a lot of things we didn't even think about. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Another thing is that I edited every episode beyond whatever number it was, 8 or whatever, but I never edited any of Len's, and that was deliberate. I didn't want to edit his material. I felt uncomfortable doing it. We had a completely different style of writing, of presenting material, a completely different story sense, and I didn't want to, as it were, bring him into my straitjacket, for want of a better way of putting it. Straitjacket's I mean, I'm sure I gave notes to Jules, because I think Jules still with Len. On the other hand, I read everything that he produced.
Okay.
And inevitably that must influence you in some way. I mean, even if it's only subconscious. But, let's return to the Bible and the first few scripts. Those were the foundations. And everything we did was built on that. So that's where his influence remained up to the final episode.
Okay. I love that. And it's a question I feel like we've wondered for a while.
Yeah.
Well, following up on that, so this is another question, Peter, that fans, and I'm sure you might have heard this a few times. So we refer to the later seasons as season 2, 3, and 4, batched in 20 episode produced orders. And then season 3 and 4 in particular almost serialized, with being long themes and clear beginnings and endings, which feels very unusual for a normal syndicated cartoon where you just have stories, each week is a new story. How did that come to be? And I think, Zack, did you want to ask about the writer's room as well?
Yeah, well, like what Ryan is saying is like those later seasons really are almost capsules where there's a season-long arc. And so nowadays in television, right, there's a writer's room and they break the whole season and they figure out what the arc is. How did it work at Rankin Bass with you and the other writers? Were you figuring out what that plan was?
First of all, we didn't have a writer's room. We just didn't. And I don't mean this in any way impolitely. I can't really make much sense of the question, because in my mind there are only 2 seasons, 1 to 65, 66, 130.
Okay.
There were no deliberate arcs except in Len's 5-parters, because we never had any understanding or any guarantee that anything would be shown in sequence.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Never, for a start, we'd have maybe we'd have to talk to Matthew, one of the people actually involved much more in the physical production. I mean, we might have 6 scripts being animated any one time, and we never knew which one would come back, and they were all coming back to be put on air more or less directly. And so if 1 or 2 came back, I mean, the Demolisher came back, and here was the Demolisher's head, and here was his jaw. So we couldn't put that out for another 3 weeks while it was being fixed, or 2 weeks, or whatever it was. So one of the things that was, and it's actually been, I think I can say, in every single series I've ever worked on in my life, no guarantees that you can run this in sequence.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. Never.
And actually, that probably explains. I've had questions in other markets where they've run, and you're going to ask me which shows, and I can't remember, but maybe a character appeared twice in the show, and instead of him appearing, his second appearance became his first appearance, which is a little confusing. Wow. No, we never had any arc. Other than Len's 5-parters, no arcs. Or actually, I mean, come to think of it, any 5-parters that I wrote. Obviously,
yeah, that's what we're thinking of, is the 5-parters that you wrote sort of set up the shape of the 15 or so episodes that came after them.
Yeah, no, I mean, they weren't really designed to set up. I mean, I could have had notes. I guess I could have had very specific notes from Lee, but not that I recall.
Okay. On that, since we're going to say it was 2 orders of episodes, Peter, was there any other discussion of possibility of another batch of episodes for ThunderCats past the last one, or was it kind of known that, okay, this is dying down and we're wrapping this up?
Past 130. No, I've never really understood why, because even though SilverHawks was very successful, it wasn't the success of ThunderCats. I have read that one reason was that LJN basically said no more. But I don't know how that worked, because unlike Jonny Quest, which was financed entirely by merchandising,
yes,
as far as I know, and obviously there are areas of ThunderCats that I don't really know anything about, and I can certainly completely open to being corrected. As far as I know, the production of ThunderCats was never dependent on revenue from LJN. It was always financed, out of Laura Moore or Telepictures or whatever it was, as far as I know. But there are kind of hidden filing cabinets, I guess, about the show that I've only discovered this 40-odd years later.
Wow.
What? Is that what happened? What? Of course, I didn't know. And nobody else did either. I mean, Jules and Arthur knew, but they were like the sort of, they had control of Aladdin's cave, and we couldn't look in.
Well, since Buddha's here and he is our LJN expert, I just thought of it off the top of my head. Buddha, have you come across anything from the LJN side that, they were just done and ready to move on?
So nothing.
No, I mean, and of course the other thing is, there's no reason why they couldn't have been the SilverHawks company.
Oh,
I mean, Kenner,
right?
As you know, it was. I don't know why that. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why LJN pulled out and Kenner came in. I have no idea. So it's a great shame that none of the West. I don't know whether Stan's son is still around. I mean, he must be, because he's younger than me. But those, Stan Weston's guys would be the ones who would have the answers to all that. Probably. Because as far as I know, and Buddha and I have had this discussion, I mean, some of the information that's come out of the LJN survivors, frankly, is just bullshit. So, I was responsible for the show. What? I never even met you. What are you talking about? That was my idea. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Well, that's fine. And I mean, look, people probably say I'm claiming to be responsible for some of the success of ThunderCats. No, I don't know. I mean, I have my own opinion about that, but other people may think, no, you had nothing to do with it. That's fine. They can have their.
Not on our end. We know your DNA is in everything. We always say. But Buddha, was there any? Kenner, was that actually a possibility for them to take over, or you think?
So I had talked to Jose Longoria about that. And so now, again, I don't have any official information, because even Jose wasn't 100% sure. There was the guy that was in charge of LJN at the time. I forget his name offhand. I think it was actually either way. I know when I talked to Jose about it, he wasn't sure, but he said the guy that was in charge of LJN from time to time would make just decisions kind of like at a whim sometimes. And he was kind of known for doing that, where like this was the idea was to do this, and all of a sudden one day he'd come in the office and be like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Wow.
And he said it's possibly that is how things went down. Now again, that's not official. Jose didn't know, but he said that was kind of one of those, it was almost a common practice at LJN at the time with the guy in charge, but it was a regular happening from time to time. So he said it was possibly, something like that happened.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a shame if it was that, because it's crazy.
So on someone's whim.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. Again, while it's not
Possibly.
official, I don't know, but it'd be very interesting if that was the case. And then for Kenner to jump in, they definitely had to see, some promise in the SilverHawk line. But jumping in very quickly, from what I understand, and carrying the line.
That would have been something. Oh man.
So Peter, you talked about how you enjoy writing comedy, even though you were sort of pigeonholed as the action adventure guy. But like as ThunderCats went on, it did get funnier. Like there's sort of a general feeling that there's a seriousness about the early part of the show, and then it got more lighthearted as it went along. Is that shift something you were aware of at the time? Like, do you remember trying to make it funnier?
Yeah, I think it, it gradually began to reflect. I think it basically eased up a bit. Again, when you have these sort of conversations, it's very easy to have whatever you're saying mistaken for criticism or negativity, or it's all a matter of interpretation. But I think the show, Len took himself quite seriously, and I think he took the show very seriously, which is wonderful, because if he hadn't, it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere. But on the other hand, and I got into trouble the other day for saying this, there's an awful lot of bollocks. Talking about a third world, well, there was a first world, then there was a second world, then there was a third world, and the Bibles, it's insane, and it's insane. It's insane. So you have to take it very seriously in terms of presenting the drama to the audience. And you have to, in my view anyway, you have to respect the audience. You can't cheat them. You can't just say, this is just for kids. So I'm going to have a chocolate pudding fly in from left field and hit mumm-ra in the ear and blah, blah. You can't do that. It's just not a show.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if you take yourself too seriously, in life, I think, life's too short. The show's too short to be too serious about it. And so as it all eased up, and as the show was obviously very successful, people like Matthew, Bill was always insane. All his stuff was crazy. And, you had a showrunner who basically thought that the best character in the show was the villain. So, you're going to have, and by the way, the villain's got a dog. All right? Well, what's a dog? You take that stuff too seriously, can you? And then the Captain Cracker and the circus train and the this and the that.
Cracker.
I can't remember who. We were talking to Jim Meskimen the other day, and I think one of the things I like about Jim is that he takes the work, and he's basically a comic actor and a comedian as well as being a dramatic actor. He takes the work very, very seriously, but he doesn't take himself seriously. And I think I think that's a key. A lot of writers take themselves so seriously, and it's such a full process to write. And oh my God, and oh, I'm going to have a heart attack, and oh, I've got writer's block, and oh, this, that, and the other. You know what? If you're a surgeon, you can't stop in the middle of your operation. Oh, I got surgeon's block.
That's very true.
Wow. And if you're making a living out of writing, what a privilege. If you, go and dig holes in the road and see how you like that. Or wait in a restaurant on the general public, who by and large can be total dicks.
Truly, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately.
How seriously can you really take this stuff? It's not brain surgery. So you can take a lot of the technique and a lot of the the drama and the structure and all kinds of things very, very seriously. But if you don't let the humor come in anywhere, then I think you're done, really. That's what I think.
So actually that answers one of our questions from our listener Mitesh, because you mentioned writing for mumm-ra, and the villains was more fun doing the bad guys. So he says he wanted to know your thoughts on mumm-ra by the end of the series taking a goofier turn. So was that just part of the process of adding the humor in general?
Yeah, I think so. Because you're faced with another problem, aren't you? You've got 130 shows. I mean, I didn't know that up front, and 130 times he failed.
Yes.
So, I mean, where do you go with that? Okay, this time. This
will be the one. And who's gonna? This is the one.
And I think it was Earl. I think it was
Shakespearean thing.
Mumm-ra. Mumm-ra is like an old Shakespearean actor who goes for an audition every time he fails to get the part.
Amazing.
That's Mumm-ra,
I love that summarized. I love that. So Zach, do you want to take this next question? Because this is something.
Sure. You were you were talking about Matthew. Like Matthew Malick's episodes are always very funny. We just reviewed the Zack's Factor, which is it's the third to last episode in the show, but it's also one of Matthew's. And in his interview in Hear the Roar for it features Vulture Man, and he says in the book that his intuition was always that Vulture Man was gay, clearly gay, but you'll have to ask Peter Lawrence to verify this.
Did he say that?
Yes. And inquiring minds want to know.
Boy, you got to remember what an immensely different time it was.
Yes.
I mean, if I were writing Vulture Man now, today, I mean, I wouldn't make him, a kind of stereotypical screaming, insulting, kind of gay guy. But I would make him really gay. I mean, truly gay. And he would have problems with the other mutants, because they would be those kind of dickheads who pretend they don't have any prejudice against it, but really do. I mean, particularly Monkey, probably, or maybe Sly. Maybe Jackalman would be in the closet. I mean, I think you could.
He do.
I mean, you could do fun things without being insulting, without being patronizing, without being stereotypical, and that's the quagmire. But no, I mean, I think that as we went on with Vulture Man, and it's actually Matthew's fault, not mine. I think we did realize that he was gay. But and what I'm writing now about Vulture Man, he's also the smartest of them. I mean, and he was in the original show too. But because all these questions that come up 40 years later, when you're thinking about it, which you didn't have time to think about before. I mean, Monkey and Sly were really stupid. They weren't just thugs; they were stupid. And Jackalman, well, I don't know. Jackalman was just a coward, I think. But you could have so much more fun. And it really is a minefield. This whole question of how you deal with identity, for want of a better way. What a horrible way of describing it. But anyway. I mean, I had a show, and you got to stop me if this is, way off field. It's nothing to do with ThunderCats. I had a show which I developed for a company. It was a complete disaster. But it was a show about fruits and vegetables, and I don't mean fruits in the...
My goodness, fruits and vegetables.
They're in a shop, they're in a store, they want to escape because they don't want to get cooked.
Oh.
But they can't get on. Now, they don't... Forget all the question about sexuality, because, I mean, it's a shame they're called fruits. But there was no conflict in sexuality. It's just that the fruits didn't like the vegetables because they thought the vegetables, lived in the earth and were dirty and the fruits were all sort of clean and nice. So the one in the middle is the tomato. Because, tomato is actually a fruit, but we look at it as a vegetable. And his problem was that he didn't know which side he should be on, whether he should be with the fruits or the vegetables.
That's genius, actually.
And that's basically, and the villain was a carving knife, of other kitchen knives, and they would try and chop up the vegetables. Anyway, so the show failed to sell it, and I suddenly realized, wait a minute, this could be a really spectacular, what's probably the wrong word, but really worthwhile show if Otto, the tomato, actually doesn't know whether he's gay or straight. And the show would revolve around his problems as a kid with his straight friends and his gay, or actually not necessarily. I mean, I never got that far.
Yes.
In figuring out how the stories would play out. But that, I thought, what a really powerful premise for an intelligent, funny, musical show for kids.
Wow, that's
and I never got it off the ground. No, we can't do that. Wait, what do you mean you can't do that? This is one of the most important questions contemporarily that kids are facing. It's in their face all the time. Where's your guidance?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a big body of children's literature, like children's books that touch on this topic. But you're right, it doesn't come up very much in animation.
Well, and then remember, Zack, I mean, I'm talking about probably 8 or 10 years ago, and even 8 or 10 years makes a huge difference.
Yeah, yes,
absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, working on a show at the moment, and I have no idea whether we'll sell it. And I've never worked for an audience this young before. But it's basically about emotional intelligence. It's for kids around about the age of 6, which is an absolutely vital, very, very interesting age for a kid. It's not about sexuality. It's entirely about emotional intelligence.
Are
we going to be able to sell it? Though. I don't know. I mean, will broadcasters look at it and realize that maybe for once in their bloody lives they have to say, okay, perhaps this isn't going to be a show with a billion people audience, but perhaps it's a show that we need to do.
Yes. And I do wish that more powers that be are, understood that. Yeah. And, it's not always about money, unfortunately, which is what it seems like. Before we have a few episode specific questions of the ones that you, Peter, wrote. But before we get into that, do you have a favorite episode that you worked on or actually wrote or you just contributed to?
Well, I think it's pretty much on record that my favorite episode is Excalibur.
Yep. And it stands up, believe me.
We can jump.
Actually, Zack, do you want to?
Jump right to that because Matesh, our listener, had a question about Excalibur. He said, Excalibur was a real treat for me, being born and bred in the UK. It's great when British myths and legends like Robin Hood, King Arthur, or Loch Ness are referenced in US cartoons. And he asks, we already know this, he asked whether it was a story you proposed, and I'm pretty sure you're on record as saying that Jules came to you with the idea and then you ran with it. But did you have a personal connection to to Arthurian legend? Did you, were you excited to meld that legend with Third Earth?
I had read everything that Mallory ever wrote about King Arthur. When I was very, very young, I had an illustrated book about, the Knights of the Round Table. It was very romantic, a very romantic idea to me. And I used to organize all my friends, who probably were then not my friends anymore, into being the Knights of the Round Table, and I was always, I never much liked being Arthur, but I never much liked being Lancelot, but I would play Bedivere or anyway, and I'd make everybody have sword fights and shit like that. Very, very young, very young. But, if you read Mallory and if you read The Once and Future King, it's just the most wonderful material. It's just wonderful. So, when Jules came up with, here's an idea, the 2 greatest swords in history, it just was completely natural. I do think, as I've said many, many times, I almost never watch anything that I do, that I've done. I have watched Excalibur a couple of times, and I do think if I was doing it now, it would, talking about taking things too seriously, it's a little bit heavy. And I wouldn't have ended it like that, 2 swords flying around in the air doing ridiculous shit. I would have done something. And maybe, because, you unfortunately, you don't have the vision, or I don't, maybe other people do, I don't have the vision or the foresight. If somebody had said to me, this show is going to end on show 130, it's going to end in 3 months' time, yes. We want a final episode. I might have written Excalibur as the one time that mumm-ra succeeded.
We love mumm-ra in that episode.
Yes, The drama.
His arrogance.
We joke about how much he loves to be in disguise, and that he just milked the drama out of that disguise.
I mean, even bringing his own jousting course. Like, we love that shot where I think it's Panthro, Chitara, and Tiger are looking out the window, and Mumm-ra has this whole setup, this whole medieval fair set up with the horses and the jousting and the slapping of the glove. We love that. Duel.
Masaki knew how important it was to me, and they really pulled the stops out on that, which I don't think I ever acknowledged to him. Actually, I should have done that. But I realized now, I've just realized this minute that I missed something. In Mallory, there's a dog, the Bratchett. I should have had Mahmoud.
Oh, but it was pre-Mahmoud.
Oh, I was going to say, was he even around then? That's a good question.
Mahmoud?
Yeah.
Well, then I should have invented Mahmoud.
Is Excalibur more powerful than the Sword of Omens? I'm going to throw that out there.
Well, I mean, if it had been show 130, yeah.
Yeah.
or I don't know, maybe there's all kinds of ways you could take it, isn't there? Some of the greatest villains in history have turned out in the end to be heroes.
Yes.
I mean, either because they had some kind of mental shift, or because we look at them differently. I mean, I'm just extemporizing. I mean, can you imagine if Mumm-ra cleaned up his act, as it were? I mean, not too much, but enough to get hold of Lana and say, you understand, you're just a stupid adolescent. I'm going to take you in hand. I'm going to tell you what the world's all about. I'm going to teach you. And throw away the ridiculous sword because we have Excalibur. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just so many completely reimagined the show.
Yes.
Or if you just wanted to end it on an enormous bang, you could have done all kinds of things.
That would have been something.
And, my reputation, such as it is for blowing things up. So maybe that's not a good idea.
The first script written by Peter on paper is The Time Capsule. Is this the first one that you do actually remember writing, Peter, or was it out of sequence?
I have to tell you, I don't remember writing it. I mean, I do remember most of the other stuff I wrote. I don't specifically remember that. It could have stemmed from an idea from someone else. I don't know. The show that I most specifically remember as the first one I wrote, and this is probably not accurate historically, was Good and Ugly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because Good and Ugly was such a simple premise. I mean, it was so simple. And I have a feeling that I wrote it because we were having some problems marrying the shows with the morals, or marrying, and that's the wrong way to put it actually, but that the idea that every show should have a moral or some sort of lesson was getting lost. That's a better way of putting it. So, if you were addressing a writer's room, which didn't exist, but if you did, say, listen guys, you're forgetting that we have to do this. And Good and Ugly is absolutely right on the money.
Yes.
In that particular theme,
So, just quickly in that episode, it was brought up that, and this is something that happens all the time, we bring up the fact that miscommunications in the ThunderCats have because they don't have communicators. There was brand new communicators in that episode in their actual weapons.
Which we think is genius.
But they disappear and they're never used again.
And honestly,
we often bring up the fact that a lot of things could have been avoided if they were able to communicate more properly with each other. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a bit like, if you look at the way the movies are written today, how the hell did anybody ever write a movie without a cell phone?
Yeah. I would say the other way, like the cell phone makes things too easy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not making an excuse. Look, we made, and I specifically made a lot of mistakes, but a lot of it was due to the pressure that we were working under.
Yes.
And we didn't. That's the kind of thing that should have been figured out up front. How do they talk? How do they communicate with each other? Well, there's a command center. When was the command? When suddenly Dallaire had a command center? It never had. What? Did Panthro suddenly build that?
Probably.
I mean, the great thing about Mumm-ra was that, talking about communications, was that he had the cauldron.
Yes.
And if he used it the right way, you could see everything that was going on anywhere at any time, which, in itself is probably a hell of a cheat, but it was very clear that's what it is. Now with the ThunderCats, I mean, how does Chitara's staff work, really? How does that work? And she, by the way, and this is before my time, and this goes back to, it's kind of a slight diversion on what we were talking about, gender politics or whatever you want to call it. She didn't have a weapon. She had nothing to begin with. And Lee Donica said, you have to give her a weapon. And of course, all the people in the room were men. This is before my time. I have haste to add. Everybody in the room's a man. We got to give Chitara a weapon. So what do you give her? You give her a staff that grows.
I never even thought of this. Wow. Okay.
Well, you'd be very heavy about this. I mean, I think that things like feminism and a lot of our cultural movements, if indeed cultural is the right word, we've gone backwards in the last. I can remember the first time I ever read Germaine Greer or Betty Friedan or any of those people, and it was like coming from a colonial country and an all-male boys' school. It was like, bam! Oh. Holy shit!
Wow!
I get it.
Wow.
Suddenly. Well, actually, I didn't get it that quickly because I'm not that smart. But eventually you get it. What are we talking about? Oh yeah. So 40 years ago, it was okay for a bunch of men in a meeting with Lee to say, we'll give her basically a dick.
Wow.
Maybe you have to cut that out.
That's spicy. That's what we want on this show. No, I'm just
You guys know that I'll stand behind anything I say. And I literally don't. But that is the truth. That's what happened.
Wow.
And if you look at Chitara, I don't know, a lot of things have changed over the years, but a lot of things haven't changed. And a lot of things have gone backwards.
Yes.
And, the parallel with Jonny Quest is that, or if it's a parallel, maybe that's the right, we invented Jesse.
Yes.
And the relationship between Jesse and Jonny was that you knew, or I wanted everybody to know, that down the line they'd become lovers.
Okay.
And that she was maybe a bit older than him, or if not physically older, mentally older. And she was really smart. But the problem was, you see, the writers, don't write me a guy in a dress. I want a woman.
Yes.
And I'm not a genius by any means at all. But could those guys write a girl? Could those guys write a woman, a woman on the cusp of being a girl on the cusp of being a woman? And going on from there, I realized that every woman writer I've ever worked with can write men.
Yes.
But very few men can write women.
It really is a gift. Truly, I could totally see that and believe that. Truly.
So pull that back into ThunderCats, and you've really only got one female character of any significance, all being written by men. And by the way, not for want of trying. I mean, Jerry, as you know, Buddha loved Jerry. I tried to. I had people who'd never written anything in their lives before writing for me.
Wow.
Who, thank God, not thank God, but who later went on to be, reasonably successful writers. But trying to find, in New York, why can't I find a female writer? And there's a lot of stuff that I have no idea whether it's interesting to you guys because it's all backstage and behind the scenes and so on and so forth. But I couldn't find writers in New York. I called every single literary agency and said, I'm looking for writers, young writers. I don't mean young in age. I mean, just people who hadn't, and I'm paying whatever it was pathetic, $2,500, whatever. But they'll see what they do. They'll see what they write on screen.
Wow.
And I will help them through the process. Not one single agent sent me one writer.
Wow.
In New York, like you're saying.
One agent sent me one writer.
Unbelievable.
So
it's crazy.
Because it's animation and it's for children and it's been below me. What? Yeah. And if you're so damn smart, write me something. If you're such a talented, brilliant writer, write me something.
Prove it. Yeah.
Prove it. Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, your contract says you'll have 2 drafts and a polish, and it's very unlikely that you'll write more than 1 draft. So you'll get paid $2,500 for 3 days' work if you're any good, or 5 days' work if you're kind of okay, or 7 if you're slow. In 1984, $2,500 a week.
Wow. It sounds like a dream for a young writer.
Yeah.
I'll commission another one right away. Not one writer.
Unbelievable.
So you have Dennis, who'd never written anything in his life before. Matthew, who'd written a lot, but nothing, I think, for money. Heather, Jerry had written, but I mean, there's a lot of kind of undercurrent going on, you know.
Yes. So, okay.
It's funny. We were talking about this when we were prepping, deciding what episodes to talk about. And one of my favorite Chitara episodes, I think one of her best episodes, was actually written by Kimberly Morris, by a woman. And it really stands out as like, oh, it feels different from the way she was handled elsewhere in the series.
Well, Kimberly was, I wish I could, we need to get in touch with her, Buddha. But Kimberly was very smart, very funny. You know, she had plenty of spine. Kimberly was great, and she went on to have a considerable career. But I've lost touch with her over the years.
So the Astral Prison. This is an episode that always stands out with fans and us as well. And we want to say this is the first appearance of running joke that we've had on the show going forward. But so the Nether Witch, we love this because mumm-ra going forward seems to have a preference for becoming a woman, doing drag disguises. And in this one, we laughed that not only did he have a disguise, he had a house, a legend built around this Nether Witch. People knew the Nether Witch. It was hysterical, like that he went through this whole entire thing, setting up a house, a legend, and disguising as the Nether Witch.
He was committed to the bit.
He was committed. So, I mean, is that part of the absurdity of writing something like that? Like, you're in on the joke. Like, let's just go really crazy like this. He's got a house. He's got an identity. People know the Nether Witch.
Boy, you should have. I don't mean you should have, but we could have had some advance on that, and I'd have read the script. I don't. You see, now that when you put it like that, I can imagine. Did I write that?
Yes.
I mean, I can imagine, because it's what I would do, but I'm not saying this happened. I could imagine myself going, okay, all right, well, we'll turn her into a woman, and then just letting it go. But looking back, we'll give him. I mean, I don't know. I could have given him. I don't know. I could have given him a wardrobe, or I mean, who knows? Or high heels, or I have no idea. But I can imagine myself doing that if you'd said to me right now, turn mumm-ra into a woman for an episode. But I don't remember doing it back then. I just don't. And again, it's not just sort of senile memory or anything like that. It's just there was just so much shit going on.
Of course.
And sometimes, I mean, I'm really, really lucky, and I there's no false modesty in this. I am so lucky. I never have writer's block.
Amazing.
I may have a temper and this, that, and the other, and I may be a dick, but I'm not temperamental about writing. I may be a bit temperamental in a script meeting, maybe, if somebody's saying something stupid. But, why am I telling you this? So what often happened was that I had 3 scripts to edit at one time, maybe a show to develop, and my own script to finish. So, I've got an hour here, just in this little gap here. I've got an hour. I can write a couple of pages and then put it aside, and then something else, sort of blah 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 blah. And that's my luck that I can do that, without losing it. And oh my God, I can't work like this. Oh my God. So coming back to this theme of
and we love it. We go into this.
Put him in a dress here. Put it on one side. So what did I do with it? Oh, I put him in a dress. So, any great logic behind any of this stuff.
He does it quite often.
To us, it adds to the character that we always say that mumm-ra is beyond bored. And I mean, David always says this gives his afterlife meaning, basically. The ThunderCats give his life meaning. So
that's why I always say he has not taken the time to actually kill them because, first of all, the series would be over. But it's like he could have like come in while they're sleeping. He could literally go right into their bedroom and kill them immediately while they're sleeping. But he doesn't do that because he loves this cat and mouse game that he plays with them. It gives him something to do. He's bored. He's been alive for centuries. As much as he says he despises them, he wants them dead, he hates them, he is constantly doing things to torture them, but it gives his afterlife life meaning. That's the way I put it, because he's constantly doing things. He's just
like creating a whole personality.
A persona.
We love that, though. We think that's so interesting.
That's what I say, because he could have ended it a long time ago, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting character, and I think we could have done so much more with him. But that's a lovely take, Ryan. You know, that I don't really want to. I'm not going to kill him. I'm a cat. I'm just going to play with a mouse here for a bit, and then and then I can always go back into my bed and sleep for a few hundred years, and I come back again.
Yes,
or a few days.
Because he always says he lives forever. He's like, I have time, right? He's always like, you're not. I can beat out. He can beat out the clock. They're going to die eventually. They have a very short window. He lives forever. He's like, you'll be gone in a blink of an eye. I'll still be.
Let me think of my next disguise. My next drag performance. That's what
my next drag. Yeah, where am I going to get my next fashion from? But I mean, he could. He should at some point. I mean, if you were writing a couple of episodes beyond the 130 that maybe were never going to be seen, but weren't just spoofs, you could have him. I mean, it would be great for him just to say to Lana, I don't care. You'll be dead. I'm coming back.
Yes. So follow, because of course we want to get in with your time. So Snarf takes up the challenge. This is the big one for Mr. Snarf. And as we discussed on Beyond Thundera, we know you got sick of the Snarf. As I'm representing Snarf today.
How dare you?
Matesh asks, our beautiful listener says, the episode redefined Snarf from being a nanny to Lion-O and being the bravest Thundercat of all. A turning point in the audience's perception of Snarf. Did you develop this episode because you wanted Snarf to be seen as more than a nursemaid and not just the butt of jokes? Or were you mainly interested in showing how Snarf would face the challenge like this alone without Thundercats' help?
Well, I think, probably several things. But one, I was tired of Snarf. Come on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Let's do something interesting with him and stop, let's do something, that makes him a more interesting character. And he's sort of a cat. And, cats can be, as you know better than me, can be horrible cowards and tremendously brave in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Like that. So there was all that element going on. I wanted to change him. But the other thing is that there's a moral in that. There is the kind of you can. Well, this is not the right way of phrasing it, but you can be more than you can be, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So there are two different elements, and I just wanted to make it more interesting. Just a more less of a one-dimensional. I think what happens with these shows is, we've got to have a comic element. Well, what do we have a comic element? Well, let's have a whatever it is, a Snarf or in Bandit and Jonny Quest or some other comic element.
Yes.
Well, yeah, okay, yes. But after you've written 2 or 3 of those, who cares? Let's do something with him and bring some variety to his personality in the show. I don't know if that answers your question entirely, but that's kind of...
No, I definitely think it does. Yes, I definitely think it does. And Matesh also wants to add to you that this episode gave birth to someone, we call her Karen, but the Unicorn Keeper, the wife, the Unicorn Keeper's wife. And this woman has given us joy too, Peter. Can we just say for the last 40 years? I mean, I guess it had to do with Lynn Lipton's even performance, but we love that she always, my husband, like the drama.
She's she's my nagging Jewish neighbor from Brooklyn. My husband.
We love her.
I sent him out for some lox and bagels. My God. Oh.
We love her, though. We love her.
That's what she is.
So we've named her Karen on here. But I think actually Matesh, our listener, named her Karen. We definitely love that character. Just had to add her.
I mean, one of the things that's coming out of this conversation for me is that to write a version of ThunderCats today for the audience, the original audience.
Yes.
So we're talking about adult, between whatever those ages are. And with today's sensibility, or not today's sensibility, but with some of the freedom that one would have today, you could write a wonderful show. I mean, it could have all, the drama, the absurdity of the drama, because some of the drama is completely absurd. And then you could have those characters like your Jewish aunt or your, because you'd be writing for an adult audience.
Peter, what do you think are the thematic things that make ThunderCats that would have to be in a new iteration?
Boy, that's a tough question, Zack. That's a very good question. Since I don't really know why the original was a success, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I can tell you that if I were doing it now, well, actually, which I am in some respects.
So do we.
I would develop the idea of Lionel being a kid in a man's body. I'd take that much further. I would keep the Thunder Kittens as youngsters, but bring them up in age so that they were a little more abrasive with the others. That the adult teenage relationship was more abrasive. I definitely developed Tiger because he's probably the most boring character that's ever been written in the history of animation, but yet has some potential. He would be the guy that had done his brain in with LSD or whatever it is. I mean, you could, but that element of Tiger. I mean, I'm not entirely serious about that. That element of Tiger, that slightly woo-woo out there. That could be developed much more. I think you'd have to. I don't think you could ever redo this show without mumm-ra. You could never get rid of mumm-ra. You could get rid of the mutants, and I don't think it would matter much. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I'm not suggesting I do that, but they were, in a way, they were a kind of side dish.
A side dish, yes.
Unless you develop them further. I mean, obviously we talked about Vulture, we need to go back to that. We go back to Jackalman. Could be much more of a coward. Sly, much more of an absolutely brutal, stupid thug. And Monkey, a sort of untrustworthy, two-faced, basically a monkey. I don't even know if I'm answering your question. I think that, to me, all the vehicles and all that rubbish, or not rubbish, but that stuff, that's the icing on the cake.
Yes.
The ThunderCats, the tank, it's a wonderful thing. And the Sky Cutters, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But really, it's really about a much more personal conflict between mumm-ra. And I think you could actually, you could make it, again, Zack, I'm not answering your question, so forgive me. It could be a much more personal conflict between Lionel and mumm-ra, where Lionel is a kid and mumm-ra is a father figure, but the wrong father figure.
Ooh. Oh, wow, okay.
One of the things we did notice, and as much as we love Lion-O, we always say that it seems like at some point it was almost forgotten in a way that he was a child in a man's body, and he was just a man. He was everything. He was the smart and capable and stuff. I mean, we love it still, but we did notice there was a shift of.
No, but you're absolutely right. We lost that somehow along the way, or we just brought it in now and then.
Yes.
Imagine, I mean, if really he had been this sort of mid-adolescent, so as with most mid-adolescents, one moment smart and together, another moment absolutely out of control, with the most powerful weapon on the planet in his hand.
Yes. Yeah.
We never did anything with that. We never ever had Lionel say to himself, to hell with this, I'm going to go do something myself with this weapon.
Yeah.
And something stupid, something adolescent, something dangerous. Never did that.
No corruption.
Yeah, the most dangerous thing he ever did was drive the Thunder Tank before he
yes.
Zack, that's the other thing about Lionel. He's such a goody two-shoes. He's not. Come on, you're adolescent in this spectacular body with every ability.
Yes.
You need to go off the rails now and then. Never even thought about that. But I'll tell you this, if we had thought about it, I would bet you anything you like would have been reeled back in. I'm not sure who would have reeled us back in because there wasn't anybody to do that. But somebody would have been pissed off about it at some point.
Because he is the hero at the center of the story.
Yes.
You want him to act heroically.
Yeah, but I mean, you could. What makes a hero? What makes the most interesting hero? I mean, go back to Arthur, King Arthur, a flawed hero. Yes. I mean, a superheroic character. I don't mean in the Marvel sense. I mean, really a monumental hero, but very, very flawed. Lancelot, the same, terrible flaws. Bedivere, the coward, and so you go on. I think it makes the characters much more interesting if they have flaws. Now, you probably can't do that, or probably shouldn't do that with all of the Thundercats, but why not with Lionel? Would have been so much more interesting. Would that have worked for kids? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm going to say he was scared straight after meeting mumm-ra for the first time, and he couldn't call for help.
I mean, that mumm-ra is terrifying. Honestly, that first encounter is
that
terrifying.
scared me too, Larry.
As a kid, yes, as a kid, it was terrifying. So, I mean, should we just to get to Thunder Cubs, which is another episode that was written? This was season 3, technically. Mitesh asks, I mean, my views, passion, and confusion for these episodes have well been documented on this show. He wants to know, why was it decided to make Jaga responsible for the destruction of Thundera? Because as we find out at that point, the Sword of Plundar is thrown into a volcano, and it then, makes the planet be destroyed. Was that like something like you had always thought about, like, could it be like someone close to them? Jaga actually is the one that leads to this destruction, or was that just kind of just put in for whatever reason?
This is where we need a direct line to Len. Right, Len, help! I have no idea. That's directly from Len, and I can't give you.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to do it. I could look at the material and give you an opinion, but sitting here right now, that's all down to Len. Okay. I mean, in fact, I'd forgotten about the Sword of Plundar until I had to do something, last month. I'd completely forgotten that it existed.
See, that you answered one of my questions, Peter. That was one of my questions. Like, the Sword of Plundar did come, and it looked like it was going to rival the Sword of Omens, and then it was kind of just forgotten.
Disappeared. Completely. And, I can't keep throwing this out as an excuse, and I'm not avoiding responsibility, but I think a lot of the things that I would now look back on, and I'm sure a lot of, fans or aficionados or followers, whatever we want to call them, if we'd had more time and somebody had said, wait a minute, what's going on with the Sword of Plundar? We could have done interesting things with it. It wasn't just that. I mean, I'm not complaining about the pressure on me. I loved the job and it was fine, and I thrived under those conditions. But nobody else had time.
Yes.
Nobody. I mean, Lee had no time. So if somebody else, other people had been, and by that time, Jules had basically said, "Okay, it's your show. Do it." I'm going up to Garrison and I'm going to go play tennis. Or, I'm going to, because he was a fantastic cook and he loved to cook. So I'm going to go and cook something and you just get on with the show. And by the way, I'll cash the check on the way out.
Yes.
And nobody, probably what we did need, or what would have helped, if there had been somebody who said, wait a minute, you realize that you've lost the Sword of Plundar completely. You do know that, right? And they would say, yeah, and I don't care. Or, you're right, let's do something about it.
Yes.
And I think that probably, a lot of the questions that people would ask now, I mean, I give you a very good example, which probably would be better offline, but it doesn't matter. I was writing something about Captain Bragg's circus train, and I had a scene with Luna and Amok, wrote the whole thing. Buddha looked at it because I asked him something about it. He said, don't you remember that Bragg knows those two characters?
Yes.
Now, I didn't have anybody doing that then, so that would have gone through as a mistake.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And, there's a balance. I mean, you need those people to jab you and say, that's wrong. You made a mistake. Or that's out of character.
Yes.
And you have to justify it. It's out of character, but people behave out of character. Or it's a deliberate mistake, or whatever it is. You need that kind of input, but on the other hand, if you have too much of that, the thing becomes completely bland. If you have too many executives, too many opinions,
yes,
it's it's a camel. It's a horse designed by a committee or whatever that cliche is. If you don't have enough of them, you've gone too extreme. And again, thanks to Len, and I can never say this enough, he laid down a base that we could really screw around with.
Yes.
And we made things, and most of them didn't matter. Well, I think most of them didn't matter.
No. So we have so many questions, but we have about three very important questions to ask, right? About three more important. We have a list of questions, but we have a certain amount of time allotted for you guys, and we know your time's important.
As long as you like, I don't care. Okay. But up to you.
We were talking with Dennis Woodyard a few weeks ago.
Amazing.
About an episode he wrote near the very end of the series. And we were talking to him about how much it felt like the end of the show to us. And we were curious, from your perspective, was it, as the series was coming to that close, the end of the 130, was it challenging to find stories that felt like an ending? Like, were you trying to wrap it up?
No. I mean, I never... No, I don't think I ever had any brief. Nobody, and I certainly didn't feel that I had to wrap it up. If the corollary of your question is, were we running out of stories? And that could be the case. I mean, it could be that there's a limit to, or a temporary limit, maybe, to what we could do, and we need to step back and say, okay, let's go off in a completely different direction.
Yes.
But no, I never felt any. I mean, in my memory, at the time, I think I would remember. I've got a reasonably good memory. I don't think so, Zack. I don't think anybody thought, well, we've got to wrap it up. And by the way, I was working on SilverHawks. So again, comes down to, okay, I've got the script over here of ThunderCats, but now I've got to write the origin story for SilverHawks.
Yes.
It's like,
back and forth.
The other thing we were talking with Dennis about in that latter part of the series is that, like, once they all return to New Thundera, the end of the show becomes about, it's this theme of refugees returning home. And we were curious whether any of your life experience living all over the world maybe contributed to those stories around refugees.
No, I don't think so. And actually, I do remember that I was not too keen on this whole return to Thundera idea. I didn't. I think we could have developed Third Earth. We could have taken it much. We could have pushed it much further. I think.
Do you remember? Did the idea come from Jules to send them back?
It may well have come from Len. It may well have come from Len. Very early on. Very early on in the show. Zack, I wish I had more concrete answer for you than that. I know I don't. I just think it was a mistake, because looking back, because we hadn't exploited Third Earth. We hadn't taken. On a scale of 1 to 100, we were probably somewhere around about 35. Look, there's a mummy in a pyramid. How come there's only one? How come there's just this one supernatural, evil, demonic thing? Nothing else.
That one of my favorite stories I've read from years and years ago from a fan who wrote it, and he never finished it, but my take on the story was that in leaving Third Earth and the threat of mumm-ra leaving Third Earth, other nasty things came out of the woodwork because mumm-ra wasn't there anymore. He'd gone to New Thundera, and I really liked that. It made Third Earth feel scary again. It made mumm-ra feel important.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's just like the idea of other evils lurking on Third Earth is a great thing to plumb.
Yeah. But these are conversations that I think we would have had, had the show gone on. I think, because we would have had the time to sit back and, maybe even have a real writer's room where the people sitting around a table saying, hey, we could do this, we could do that, we could do the other. I don't know.
Zack, did you have any other?
I'm so sorry. I have to run. I'm meeting up with family.
Okay.
But Peter, this has been a pleasure. I wish I could stay longer.
Thank you, Zack. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye, Zack.
Talking about restrooms, well, not exactly, but along the theme. When Snarf was first designed, some of the turnarounds had him walking away from camera, and you could see his arsehole. So, and of course, because that's Japanese, of course, every cat, of course, they've got an arsehole. But no, we can't have that. No. So, idea how Snarf excreted.
We wondered if there was litter boxes.
Should have get that in the Super 7.
You know, that actually reminds us, Peter. Dennis mentioned that I guess at some point he was, going through the episodes to see any mistakes or something like that. And he said at one point he noticed that these stalactites were in the shape of penises to him from Japan, he said. And
didn't he say at some point there was a vagina,
he said vagina
in
in the top of Mumm-ra's pyramid. He said there was a female in the shape of in the pyramid that
somewhere. I don't know. And he said it went through. I think he said
I think he said it was too late for the vagina, but the stalactites turned more rock-like.
Yeah, that was his job to eliminate it. Why didn't he?
I think when he said he brought it up to whoever he needed to bring it up, they said, it's too late.
Yeah.
Too late.
And he said he asked he said two ladies in the office to see what they saw, if they saw what he saw in Mumm-ra's ceiling. And we said, now we know what Mumm-ra's doing to entertain himself. He's painting female body parts on the roof of the pyramid.
And then we went into this whole thing about how, like, the Little Mermaid, the infamous VHS cover with the penis tower and the castle and the whole shebang. So
yeah, that was fun, right?
Of course, I can't bring one to mind, but there are some legend stories about how things, have escaped, not on ThunderCats, but I mean in general, how some bizarre piece of imagery has escaped into a major movie and nobody's seen it until the movie's been out 5 years, and then everybody's gone, oh my God.
I love how those things slip through the cracks. And Buddha, please feel free. I should have said this before. Feel free to jump in at any of these questions, anything that you have anything to bring, please.
You're here interviewing Peter. I kind of jumped in. I didn't even plan to. Thank you for letting me hang out as long as I have.
We love having you here. So please, it's beautiful.
I also didn't want to mess up. I know when I came in, there was a little bit of a recording issue, a technical issue. I didn't want to jump out and do the same issues. I was like, screw it. I'll just hang.
If you don't mind, we love you here. So don't mind, please feel free.
No, I don't mind at all. Again, I just figured I was going to invite myself in, and I had to hack Peter's files to get the link and get in. And it's fine.
In true Captain Cracker fashion, you see this?
Exactly. That's what I was figuring.
You went again. I love it.
Captain Cracker had to have at least be talked about one more time on podcasts. That's all. That was all my.
I was telling him, I'm like, text Buddha. That's just awesome. Tell him thank you for doing it. I was really excited.
We loved. That was a great surprise, honestly. So, to continue with our million questions that we've received,
are you going to do this?
Actually, yeah. I mean, this goes back to, we don't even know if you had a hand in this, but
there was some question about, again, the reformation of Thundera and location. Apparently, this is a big topic. Did you have a map, again, a mental map, or even where the planets were relative to one another? Because this actually comes up because I had a question about this, relatively speaking, where Thundera is related to Third Earth, related to Plundar, because there was an episode where the planets align, and that's where, and we talked about them escaping to get to Third Earth and how far away it is. Was there any kind of...
Oh, you know what it is, Peter? I think it comes around, right, because it looked like in the pilot episode, Exodus, Jaga basically had to turn to dust to, fly the ship past a certain point because it was going to be so long. Suspension capsules were used, and then of course when the new ThunderCats were brought out,
they take the feliner and they get there pretty quickly.
Or no, even they didn't have suspension capsules and they made it to Third Earth. So there's been that thing that there was suspension capsules. I'm assuming it just...
And then the alignment of the planets, which then the new Thundera had a problem with, the water evaporated, and then...
I guess it's just down to what are you going to do? You have space and there's planets in it, but I mean, it does seem like maybe the planet got closer or further depending on things. I don't know. Just any thoughts on that in general?
No, not really, because actually, well, first of all, again, that's all Len's fault. I was... I never thought of ThunderCats in terms of planets.
Okay.
I mean, SilverHawks clearly was in a galaxy.
Yes.
A specific galaxy that we designed. But ThunderCats, for me, was always, my focus was basically always on Third Earth.
Yes.
And I doubt that I even ever thought about the relationship between Plundar and New Thundera and Third Earth, and I very much doubt I even thought about it. That's the kind of thing that Len would certainly have had in mind. I think mine was probably, got a much tinier mind. I was just like, Third Earth. What's going on Third Earth?
Yes. Okay, I mean, so that makes sense because that's always been a question that's come up that people, have brought up to us, and we're like, of course, we have no idea. And I'm assuming no one thought 41 years later that anyone was going to go back to these episodes and say, oh, well, it was.
You remember on that episode where Lion-O tripped over a stone and, did he hit his left toe, his right toe?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is that if there are, I mean, I kind of feel I sort of owe it to everybody, I mean, if there are questions that are really vital as against Lion-O breaking his big toe, I would certainly have a go at trying to answer them. I don't know, but I'd have to do the research. I mean, I'd have to look at the scripts, and I'd also probably have to talk to, people like Dennis or Matthew or Chris or, people who worked on the show. And of course, a lot of people who did work on the show have a very kind of generic, fond memory.
Yes.
But absolutely zero specifics.
But I believe that, of course.
Well, I think Chris invented Rataro, and Termagant. But if you asked him why or how, he wouldn't have a clue. No. It's like, well, what? Did I do that? Oh, well, okay.
Which I did ask him.
That's because we have this sort of huge body of work. I mean, we've worked on so many things and hundreds of episodes. I mean, in mine, I think it's like 400 episodes. How am I going to, I don't, aside from the books, aside from the live action, aside from everything else. So you just can't remember it all.
And Buddha, you were saying that you actually did ask?
Oh, no, I was just saying, he said, if you ask Chris, why this happened, about Tumagar especially, I did ask him, being a huge Tumagar the Tuska fan, and he had no idea. I just needed a name. So it was Tumagar. It was like, but, Peter, I could step in here for your, for some of the question there. Yes. But it was clearly the advancement in technology with the burbles and the power of Thundrillium helped the feliner be able to go at speeds that the original ThunderCats ship from Thundera to Third Earth were never able to reach. So clearly that's why the feliner was able to go back and forth from Third Earth through to New Thundera so quickly.
This is amazing.
This is what you need me here for, Peter. I can give you these answers. I'll make them up on the spot. We're good to go.
You know what? It sounds right, though. This sounds pretty good.
Right? It's logical enough to fit. Well, so Peter, what had happened again? You just don't remember. It was fun. It was the burbles. The burbles helping Panthro make the feliner and using Thundrillium as a fuel, which was so strong, it was more powerful than the fuel that was used originally from the ThunderCats when they were on Thundera having to get to Third Earth. I don't know what they were using. See, that information,
inferior
I don't have that.
Fueling from Thundera.
Exactly. And now with this superior fuel from Third Earth, the technology of the burbles and them being able to put things together with the feliner made the feliner be able to go at speeds never imagined by the original spaceships of Thundera.
You do realize that I have absolutely no freaking clue what you're talking about.
Fine, I'm just making things up right now. I'm just making up answers for you. That's it. But that's all I'm here to do.
But those answers make sense. They could have talked to the burbles to enhance the feliner. The fuel could have changed.
I mean, I've said this before. Is it the good and the ugly? What's the episode with the ship that has the shield that comes that attacks that goes to the cat's lair? I'm like, why did they take why did they take the technology for the shield of that ship to protect Cat's Lair from when the mutants and other people attack? I would have totally taken the technology from that ship.
But then there wouldn't be 130 episodes.
Yes, there would.
Drama.
There would still be a shield, and they'd still get attacked when they left Cat's Lair. But anyway, you got to keep thinking, people.
So actually, this question was Zack found this out, and I thought this was fascinating. So he says years ago, Kimberly Morris gave an interview where she talked about a script she wrote called Goodbye Jaga as a potential series finale. Do you remember that script by any chance? And were there other contenders for the final episodes? Of course, it was William Overgard who did write Book of Omens, but do you remember other scripts at the time? Goodbye Jaga?
No, I don't remember. I mean, and Kimberly must have done that. I don't think if she wrote a script, I don't think I ever saw it. She might have pitched that as an idea. And actually, I mean, remembering her, that is probably the kind of idea she would have come up with. But no.
Okay, because that has floated around for years, so that's another great thing, just in case, like, okay, here's this one I like this one a lot. If you had the chance today to revisit a character and tell one final story with them, what would that look like? Out of all the characters in ThunderCats, if you could just write one more story about that character. And maybe you are, Peter. Maybe you are behind the scenes. We'll never know. But
well, the question is, if I were to write one final story,
yes,
what character?
Yes, any ThunderCat character. Like, if there one particular character that you would really say, like, I would love to give that character one more story.
Oh, you mean like a guest character?
Or anyone, even it could have been Tigra, Mumm-ra, our forgotten cats.
We're going to write a story about one of the secondary characters. I think I would develop Mongol.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't think and I don't know why, because I invented him. I don't know why I never gave him another shot. But I think he actually could be very interesting and could be a rival to mumm-ra. Mm-hmm. So you could have a very interesting dynamic there. Something we touched on earlier in the show, which is, thanks to you, I think a story where Lion-O, I don't know whether you could do this, could have done it in the original, or whether you could only do it now for an adult audience, where Lion-O, in his kind of adolescent form, loses faith with Jaga and sees mumm-ra as a father figure.
Oh, wow. That would be deep.
That could be, not, obviously he wouldn't look at mumm-ra, through rose-tinted lenses.
Yes.
He would know, but he would be, it's a classic dynamic, isn't it? It's a very Jungian dynamic where the son switches allegiance to another adult. Even, putting it in, it's really, really mundane, and I don't mean this would be the story, but it's, you're so boring, and he's so interesting. That's, that whole dynamic. Yes. And that could be a really interesting episode. What? Because then, the other ThunderCats, Jaga's not going to be able to persuade him, but the other ThunderCats are going to have to come in and kind of realign him, if you like.
Yes.
That would be interesting.
I love that.
As far as the analogies on Third Earth, I never was particularly interested in the burbles. And, I know I probably sound very rude and dismissive about a lot of things. I hope you know me well enough to know that that's the case. It may be the way it comes across.
Of course.
But I'm interested in writing for the burbles, really. No, not really. Or Willa or Warrior Maidens. Actually, Warrior Maidens, of course, going back to earlier things we talked about today, there could have been an interesting dynamic with them. But we were talking about 40 years ago. But if we were doing it today, I think I'm not quite sure what the theme would be.
Yes.
But you would go back to feminism and so we're talking about a kids show. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a kids show that for some reason that I can't explain and has never been explained to me by anybody else, has become sort of as eternal as mumm-ra.
Yes.
Great way of putting it.
Yes.
But, there are a lot of themes that, like why was Chitara undervalued or underplayed, and why couldn't we find female writers, and what, and I don't know, this is a lot of, I've never had to think about any of this stuff before, so thank you very much. It's like, there's a lot of underlying themes, but a lot of things that poke their heads up.
Yes.
Say, oh, okay, wait a minute, why didn't we go there? Why didn't we do this? And why did that happen? And why didn't that happen? Anyway.
But it does sound, Peter, like you were saying earlier, that it came down to time and having to do so many scripts, writing 3 at a time, going here and there. How could one person or even multiple people keep up with that? So it makes sense in hindsight that these things would slip through and again, the 40 years later, it's still holding up, so it was definitely done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets anyway, but I don't really dwell on the mistakes. But looking back, I do think that there were things that we could have that we could have exploited dramatically in more interesting or in-depth ways. But then again, that's why some movies and some books have, 15 drafts.
Yes.
Yeah. And 3 or 2. And again, it's not an excuse, and I'm not. But I look at the the rewrites. I mean, I'm pitching a show at the moment, live action show, and I think we've written probably 8 pilots, 8 versions of the pilot at least, and probably 8 versions of the Bible as well. And I mean, famously, I once wrote 40 drafts of a screenplay.
Oh wow!
40. Wow! Can you imagine that?
Wow!
And tell me the 40th draft was better than
the 39th and the 37th and the 38th, right? See, these are the things that people don't realize.
I think we could have. There were definitely some themes that we could have looked at more in depth. But again, one of the reasons why we're looking at them in depth now is that we're all relatively adult talking about it.
Questionable.
We're writing, and there are things that even I won't touch for a kids show, because when I say it like that, even I have tremendous respect for kids' intelligence, and I'm pretty much on record for that.
Yes.
And have had a lot of battles over it. I mean, I think kids generally understand a hell of a lot more than we give them credit for. But there were things that even I would have thought, no, that's just too obscure or too difficult or too challenging, or Do you know who Sir Ken Robinson is? I'll send you a link to. He's dead now. He was an educator, English guy, and he did a lot of TED Talks. He talks a lot about the intelligence of kids and how the educational system is letting us all down. Definitely. And how there's no room for eccentrics, if you like, in eccentric kids, or kids that haven't quite found their place yet. And a lot of things we talked about on ThunderCats, ThunderCats apparently helped some kids find their place.
Yes.
Which I think is probably the thing that I'm most happy about, probably. I mean, one can say, oh, I like writing Excalibur, and I think it works, and it's brilliant, and what a great writer. You can go through all that crap. But actually, to have somebody say to you, this thing that you did really made a difference to my life as a kid, Yes. I mean, I had problems with this or problems with that, and it helped me out. That's incredibly, it's humbling, but it's also incredibly, you think, hey, I didn't waste my entire life.
Yes, a beautiful reminder.
Well, it definitely meant a lot to us, and definitely helped me personally a lot. So,
and still is clearly. We're still talking about it. This one comes again from our Mitesh. He says he feels like ThunderCats lately has been spreading on jam like toast and wants to know how you feel about the future of these properties, including SilverHawks. And you played such a big part in it. Can you see yourself being a part of the future again of ThunderCats? Of course, that's the biggest question of them all.
Well, Buddha may have to jump up and tell me to shut up. But here's what I feel. I understand. Well, this is very random. And again, you cut me off as soon as you want to. Ever since I left ThunderCat, in all the years following, people have said to me, why isn't there a movie? And why isn't there this? And why isn't there that? And why isn't there... I don't understand why there isn't. It's just not big enough. It's not big enough for a modern movie. That's all there is to it. And most people in the studio system are not... I don't know what quality I should describe it as. Not humble enough, or not. Anyway, for whatever reason, they can't see that it could be a much smaller, more intense property.
Yes.
That doesn't need $100 million or $200 million to spend on it. That it could be that we could recreate, regenerate, reimagine the show for today on a much smaller level, whether it's streaming, whether it's a series, whether it's a series of movies, whatever it is. So that's one thing. Yeah, give up this idea, for the moment anyway, that we're going to spend $200 million on a movie,
right, which
has to take $500 million at the box office to make any money. Not going to happen. But just not going to happen. So that's one thing. For some reason, and I'm in a way reluctant to say this because, we are in contact with various people and I don't want to piss them off. On the other hand,
yes,
I don't really
please,
care.
yes. Don't get in. We don't want you to get in trouble at all.
Yeah, but actually, I don't care because I will say what I think, and I don't. I think that the property deserves somebody saying what they think. I think that it's been really badly exploited.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff that's come out does not do justice to the original property.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the stuff that's come out, I mean, yes, I made a lot of money just writing. I didn't have any residuals. I don't have any position in it. I was very well paid for what I did. But we didn't do things just to make the money out of it. And maybe Jules did,
yes.
Maybe Arthur did. I don't know, and I don't care. But the crew, and, we've talked to a lot of them now, again, 40 years on. For us, it was fun. Yeah, it was a job, but it was fun. It was often a passion. And I don't think any of us thought about, God, how much money can we make out of this? If we did it, we didn't think like that. But I think a lot of the people that are exploiting the property now have no interest in it except for the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
No other. They don't have any feel for it. The soul of the property,
I can agree.
and it does have a soul. ThunderCats has a soul. So I feel that pisses me off, actually. That the rights holders don't have enough love for the show, if you like, for the property,
I mean,
for its
honestly,
potential.
as a fan, Peter, I mean, we have said that for years. We don't, and I'm sure Buddha has felt the same way. We don't understand. I mean, this show is so, like, it could be done so well again with the heart that you put into it. And the fact that it just sits there for years and years. I mean, even down to the amazing score that we've been waiting, fans have been waiting for years, just to hear that beautiful music that they haven't even thought of releasing that, which is insane.
Yeah, we've seen so many things that it does stuff doesn't make sense to people.
I think possibly. I mean, a lot of what we're talking about obviously is just opinion, and we're just throwing it out there. But I think that possibly a lot of it is because it is another manifestation of committee. What you need is you need one person who has a vision, who has the passion, who is in touch with the soul of the property. And this goes back to story editing and running shows and show running. So much of it now is corporate. I don't just mean corporate, but is sort of committeeized and corporatized. So my view, right or wrong, and I could be completely wrong, on almost all, I think every show I've ever run is, you've given me this show to run. It's my responsibility.
Yes.
If it fucks up, it's my responsibility. Yeah. And so I'm not going to, I'll listen to all your opinions because I'm not that arrogant or narrow-minded. But if once I make a decision to do this, that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
And the only way we'll get out of that is by firing me. I think you have to have that degree of commitment to the show. And I don't think there's that degree of commitment to this property. I think it's probably, I have no idea. There's probably it's just one thing in a department that's handling God knows how many shows, and it's not very big. It's not like Marvel Universe. It's, there are 500,000 fans or whatever it is. That's it. But there isn't that one person who's saying to Explosive Comics, for want of a better word, you can't do that. You're fucking with the show. You're devaluing.
Yeah.
Or to, Brickhead Toys, you can't do that.
Yes.
That's not what the show is. Go and do that somewhere else. I just don't think, I think it's like, okay, there's nothing left of the show. Nothing's going to happen with it. It's dying. We'll let somebody, they can pay us 50 grand to do this or 10 grand to do that or 3% of this or that or the other. Now, having said that, we are trying to do something. We do have something on the stocks. We are negotiating. We are talking. But how do I don't, some of these things I don't know how to say without sounding like just the most arrogant prick.
We totally understand where you're coming from, because it's just,
there are just things that, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
And it's just not, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut about it. That's how I feel about it. And there are two ways of looking at it. You can say, oh, well, you're a troublemaker, this, that, and the other. Or you can say, no, you have a passion for this. The ThunderCats have come back into my life, partly because of Buddha, or largely because of Buddha. I met you guys through Buddha.
Yes.
Partly through David Crichton years back, but, that was a sort of one-off episode. And, you know, so many things have happened in the last year or two, or however long it is, since 3 years or whatever. You know, just one of them. I mean, standing up in front of a bunch of 18-year-old, 20-year-old Colombian kids who've never seen the show broadcast, passionate about it.
Oh, wow.
What? How? You know? Or being out in the you know, there's a very traditional colonial square here with a church and the this and the that. And, you know, you go out there and they have concerts there, and I'm sitting there with 2 or 3 friends, I guess aged, I don't know, 50, 60, 40, a group of friends. Some guy comes in, and there's a friend of mine who always introduces me as, you know, from ThunderCats. I don't know, because his wife, his girlfriend, loves the show because her kids watch. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he's always saying, this is ThunderCats. And I cannot believe how many people jump up and down. This guy came in, sat down, we were having a drink, and Richie says to him, ThunderCat. The guy jumps up and does a mumm-ra impression in Spanish.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
So I have some passion for the property now. And, well, I mean, I've never not, but particularly now, if we're going to do something with it, we're going to do something special with it. We're not going to let it be exploited for a couple of bucks down some bloody flea market.
And just to go back to something you said earlier, Peter, it shows, I don't know if the higher ups, you know, whatever, but it shows with the writing, your love of this series. It shows, and people like you speaking to Dennis a few weeks ago, the love and care, and you could feel like this was done with love, and we feel that. I mean, we know.
It's just funny because he had said he pick up a comic book once. He's like, oh, I made that character.
The Shadow Master. It was the Shadow Master.
And it showed up, and he's like, I didn't. He was like proud and excited that it was showed up, but he had nothing to do with it, knew nothing about it.
Yeah, he was like shocked just to see like, oh wow, like the character again back. But
it was like bittersweet.
It was bittersweet. And just to go touch on showrunners, and when we were on Beyond Thundera every Thursday in your favorite Apple, Spotify, all your podcasting platforms, YouTube as well. And we will have the links below. But on that show, when David and I were guests, we brought up He-Man and compared it a few times. And while you were talking, Peter, it made me think recently Netflix got the, you know, Kevin Smith to run one of the new He-Man shows, and he came out saying, I loved He-Man growing up, I was such a big fan. And then people found him like a clip from years ago going, oh, I never watched that, I was too grown up, I didn't even care about, like, we know as like we could tell there's love and dedication, and just don't hire a name Kevin Smith just because it's a name and they really don't care anything about this property. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's I mean, so much of what happens is to do with leverage, name, reputation, ego. I mean, there's so many. I've mentioned this before, obviously not on your show. So I guess when I was doing Jonny Quest, they sent a really hot screenwriter, because they wanted to do a feature. A feature of Jonny Quest, and they said this guy was, you know, a kind of $1 million screenplay back then, and he had, I think he'd had one very successful movie and was riding on that. Youngish guy, you know, was certainly younger than me, and they sent him to interview me and us about Jonny Quest, about the new version that we were doing. And 10 seconds into the room, I knew that it was a complete waste of time, and actually. One of those moments when I should have done what I have often done is just say, you know what, this is a waste of time, go home. I'm not interested in talking to you. Or rather, you're not interested in talking to me.
Yes.
You know, if you can't get over your ego, if you can't get over yourself, and if you can't actually see what we're doing here, you don't have to like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. But you're here to see what we're doing with it.
Yes.
And that's not what you're doing.
Observe. They're supposed to learn, observe, feel, get a hang of the characters. That's what you would hope. Actually following that up, and we've read and heard over the years, but Mitesh did ask about your experience on the 2011 series. And if you don't want to say anything, please, you know, you don't have to answer, but he did want to know what the biggest challenge was writing the alternative version of ThunderCats in the episode that you did. Did you feel like writing a totally different show?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been completely honest about my experience, but I've also been absolutely clear that it's just my view, and you know, nobody from that show has ever argued or contradicted or had a comment, as far as I know. From my point of view, I think they called me in as a formality.
Oh, okay.
I just think, I mean, I don't think I think probably some executives said, you know, you ought to talk to, because interestingly enough, none of the other attempts to do movies or anything like that had talked to any of us. Never talked to Lee, never talked to, none of us. They called Matthew in, apparently. I didn't realize that. He told me that the other day.
Oh.
So anyway, I went in completely open, and I thought, you know, yeah, I mean, if they want me to write a few scripts, that'd be great. I felt absolutely no connection with any of them.
Yes, okay.
None at all. Which it could be my responsibility, could be their responsibility, could be a mixture. No connection whatsoever. I didn't feel, and it was a big group, you know. I mean, as we've talked about, ThunderCats had a very small crew. We had 15 people, or whatever it was, you know, 15 people plus the recording crew. I felt that they had absolutely no feeling for the original show at all, and no respect for it, that it was just a property for them, and no passion for it. I mean, it wasn't like you guys writing it. It was, you know. So anyway, I pitched an idea to them, which I think featured mumm-ra, funnily enough. What a surprise. They gave me whatever notes they wanted to give me, and I wrote a draft which was awful. I mean, the first person to say it was one of the worst things I've ever written. I take responsibility for it, but obviously this input, you know, they rewrote it. I don't know what they did. In the end, I didn't even watch it. But the final script that I read was absolutely fucking terrible. And I just feel that they had no understanding of what made the original successful. Now, having said that, and in fairness to them, I don't think anybody knew what made the original successful.
Yeah, that's an age-old question, right? Still, what is the magic of ThunderCats? It's just magical.
Certainly, I felt that they didn't capture any of that in the meetings we had. I mean, if you came to a Thundercat meeting when we were running the show, it was fun. It was fun, and it was funny, and there was a lot of, well, I mean, what I said about Jim Meskimen, you know, there was a lot of, well, you know, okay, we take the job seriously, but we're not going to take ourselves seriously. We're going to have fun doing this.
Yes.
And when you have fun doing something, it's reflected in the end result.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
So, and I never felt that about the, so no, it was a terrible experience for me. I take full responsibility for my part of that. And that's all I can say about it.
But maybe that was a reflection of what you felt, though, while meeting them. Like, sucked the passion right out of you, in a way, before you wrote the script. I mean, it just took the passion away from you, from writing that script.
I never felt that they really... I mean, I never felt they wanted me particularly to do it. You know, I mean, I did feel that it was like a formality. And that's not a reflection of, you know, a writer's... oh, you don't love me, because I don't ever feel, I don't have those feelings, thank God.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's maybe a sign of my brutality, but I just don't feel like it. So I probably should have said, you know, you guys don't want me to write a script, so, you know, thanks, bye-bye. Probably should have said that. But, you know, you always want to give it a best shot.
Of course.
I gave it my best shot, which turned out to be a pretty crappy shot.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much exists still from, like you're saying, the original script and what they changed, but it is one of, and Buddha, I don't know if you've heard, I think that's one of the episodes that are higher up on the fans' lists.
Yeah, I know. I know fans definitely do like it, and it's a good standalone episode as well. Like, it was kind of also very different than the rest of the series, kind of story-wise and really everything-wise. But yeah, like, I've always been interested to know, or to try to find out how different it ended up being from Peter's original draft to the final product.
Yes.
My suspicion is it's pretty radical. I don't, you know what? I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. But no, I mean, I'd have been happy if I had felt that there was any degree of enthusiasm for my participation. I'd have been happy to write several scripts. And I mean, also, I'd been happy to give any opinion. I mean, I'm sure I'm not shy about that,
But I mean, that's why we always talk about legacy and honoring that, because the 2011 show would never have come about had there not been the huge success, of course, of the 85 one. So if you have the opportunity to, and again, like you said, there's always things behind the scenes. But to me, my first thought as a quote unquote new showrunner would be like, can we contact people from the original? Can we hear their stories? Can we learn something from that?
And at some point, we will be doing the 2011.
Oh, yes.
Dun,
and
dun,
Buddha
dun.
is going to come on for some of those episodes. We would wish there was no end to 85, honestly. We wish we could just keep going and going and going and not have to go, to the other series. But
I have one final question, and Peter, answer this however you'd like and take it however you like. It can be about your career, it can be about ThunderCats, it can be however you want to spin it. We often talk about legacy on our show. So what would you say, or how would you want people to feel or describe your legacy?
Oof.
I know it's a big question, and I didn't want to spring it on you, and I thought about it, but I think it's an important thing because people can say, because people always say we're very sentimental and
we're mushes
and how we feel about things, but I also believe that, and you're kind of saying about this 2011, how sometimes time or how these other people come and almost try to, I don't want to say it, but almost try to erase such an amazing thing that has touched so many people. So I'm a big advocate of legacy.
And it's people like you even shaped our life, because now we have a podcast based on work that you have done.
And earlier on, you had mentioned, you weren't sure what we wanted to hear about, like behind the curtain, and we do. And we always talk about it, kind of like it takes a village, so to speak. Yes. Not the Burble village necessarily, although they did build that cat's lair, but how legacy is important because of the writers and the producers and the musicians and all the people that don't necessarily get their accolades and their flowers, as they say. But what would you say you would want to be your legacy, whether it's ThunderCats or...
That's such a difficult question on all kinds of levels. Funnily enough, just before, today or yesterday, I don't remember, I was reading, do you know who Graham Norton is?
Yes. Very funny man.
A chat show, yeah. And he was interviewed in The Guardian, I think. And one of the questions was, I don't know whether it was, what's your legacy or what will people think about you when you've gone? And he just said, I don't care. Oh. And there's definitely a part of me that I don't care. I mean, the people who... It's really, really a hard question.
How do you put your whole life in a... But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to answer it. I'm just not answering it very well. There's a part of me that just doesn't care. That's the first thing. I mean, it's like when people, if people are nasty about you, for example, do you care? I don't care, because the people who know me.
Yes.
And anybody else doesn't matter to me. So there's that element of it. Another element of it is that my career, it's laughingly called career, is so broad.
Yeah.
It goes from, it stretches across a great spectrum of work. So I'm sure, or I'm not sure, I suspect that when I'm hit by a bus out in the street, there's going to be a little line somewhere, ThunderCats writer run over by bus, dead.
Oh no, they're dead. Oh god.
ThunderCats. It won't be the guy who more or less invented SilverHawks. It won't be the guy who wrote Fishing for Crocodiles. It won't be the guy, you know what I mean? It'll probably be ThunderCats. So, and I'm happy with that. That's fine, and I'm particularly happy in more recent years with that because, largely through people like you, I've been made so aware that it was worth it. So that's good. That's great. I like that. In terms of being a kind of a story editor, showrunner, collaborator, blah, blah. If David got it right in his book, then I think that's a pretty good, not a bad legacy. I don't think anybody said anything particularly unkind about working with me. And that, I think, since I'm since I have very strong views
Yes.
and express them, I'm really happy that I don't think there are many people who would say, God, he was a prick. You know what I mean? I think most people would say, oh, yeah, it was fun working with him. You know, I mean, he may have been difficult and he may have been demanding, but it was fun.
Yes.
And I think, you know, finally, this sound very, very kind of sentimental and there, but I think the most important quality that you could have, which obviously would apply to your work as well, is to be kind.
Yes.
You know, no matter how difficult, no matter, you know, if you have to fire somebody or break their contract or tell them they're not going to work for you anymore, or that, you know, fundamentally the thing that they've just written is the most horrible piece of shit, you got to be kind, you know. And if you can do that, if that could be part of the legacy, that would be great.
Well, you hear that kindness is part of this.
The world needs
legacy too. Yes.
Yeah, I think if you can be, it's a very cruel, difficult, horrible world.
Yes.
And there's no more horrible part of it than the entertainment business.
I could believe it.
In terms of it's how they'll stab you in the back, how they're just some really, really, really nasty people in this business. And if you can navigate that and stay reasonably kind, good luck.
It's powerful words too, because we always talk about, again, it's not just as easy as just, you know, here's the script, act it out, you know, and things like that. So getting, again, to hear people like Peter, his voice, his stories, Dennis, we were lucky to have Dennis J. Woodyard on. Again, these are the people behind these things that we are still loving and appreciating 40 years later. And without people like you, Peter, and of course, I mean, you shaped, like we said earlier, you shaped the entirety of the rest of the series. So we wouldn't have this ThunderCats legacy without Peter, you know, what he has given us. So we always say it was an honor, but it's an honor, truly.
Very much so. Yeah.
And for me too, you know, for you to think that it's, you know, you find it struggling for the words. For you to think that it's important enough to do this is wonderful, and it's humbling, and it makes me feel good. So I thank you.
I mean, truly, when we think of ThunderCats, it's your name is the one that I know that I've always thought about as well. Like when you think of the series, of course, all the actors and the voice, but it's Peter Lawrence.
And the thing is, we talk about this. We've talked about it ad nausea. We're all connected. That's the thing. We would have never met
Buddha
under any other circumstances other than because of the franchise and because of the work that everyone has done. And Buddha with his interest in his book and just all the things like it's just having lined up. So I feel like we're all better people and all enriched because of this experience and the friendships and the connections we've made. And we're all in different time zones and all different parts of the world. And it's amazing that we're able to meet each other and talk and just be able to connect on a very human level through a cartoon. There's something to be said about that. So I'm very appreciative and very, very lucky.
If you thought, David, even as us growing up as kids watching ThunderCats, that we would be able to one day talk to someone who had such a hand in it is just, I'm still blown away. Away. The whole entire time we're talking to you, I'm blown away because you mean more than you probably even know to people, which it sounds crazy, but.
So that's a legacy in itself.
Sorry, I didn't mean, I think it's something that's significant to me. You know, you have a friend when you were 8 and you knew them till you were 18 and you were very close.
Yes.
And then something happened and you didn't talk to them for another 20 years. And then, not something bad, you just, they went, lived somewhere else, whatever it is. And you call them or they call you and it's like yesterday.
Yes.
It's like yesterday.
Yes.
You don't have to pick up. This experience here, talking to the crew that I haven't spoken to for 40 years, talking to you guys who I've never met before, connecting with Buddha, who's completely weird and out of it, I mean, and connection, as if you've known them all your life. That's really quite remarkable. And I think that's, legacy, that's great. That's it. And one thing we should do, I don't know how, whether it's led by you or by us, it would be very interesting to get, I don't know, you two, Buddha, obviously, 5 people from the crew, 3 other people, Zack, I don't know, whoever, all together, just a completely freewheeling conversation.
Oh my God. I think I would probably faint.
It's separate worlds that are actually one world.
Wow.
That's very profound, isn't it?
It's very profound.
I would love it. That would be amazing.
I mean, it could be interesting to have. I mean, I can imagine, Matthew and Larry, John Crenshaw, maybe Maggie.
Oh, yeah.
You two, me. I mean, we can manage 10, I think, on StreamYard.
Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, I know the limit on there is 10. So,
yeah,
we could put 10 together.
Just let it roll. See what happens.
Well, at least David and I count as one camera. you can sneak in one more person then, if it's up to 10. Honestly, just your summary and that whole thing that you just said, Peter, I was getting emotional, and I was like choked up. So as we are approaching this final episode of ThunderCats, again, we never thought starting this 6-7 years ago that we would ever be talking to Peter Lawrence in general, and then getting to be on Peter and Buddha's show Beyond Thundera. Again, it will be in the description box wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, beyond. This truly has been the milestone of this whole entire ThunderCats journey, Peter. So, and again, Dennis too. Dennis was amazing. Oh my God. Dennis was such a sweet man. Oh my God.
And shared a lot
and shared so much with us. It's meant more than I could ever say. So as I get choked up. So thank you.
No, absolutely my pleasure. And I mean, touching on Dennis briefly, highly underrated. I mean, so underrated.
Yes.
And so not disrespected exactly, but he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And quite often to get anywhere in this business, you have to be an absolute prick.
Yeah.
And Dennis is exactly the opposite of that. And I think, not suffered. I mean, he suffered. His career could have been, and I'm probably heading into deep water, and I shouldn't, but Dennis is just a super nice guy who has been undervalued. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, just from we got to talk to him for oh my God, we went for 4 hours. It was something. And just the amount of projects and art and stories that he has in his head that he was never able to do in general, books, this, I mean, he is,
flip art, everything.
Everything.
Really cool.
So much
cool.
Things. Yes. That he has and he's done. And yes, no one definitely.
Thank you very much. It's been good.
Thank you.
So anything,
anytime, you're always welcome. Please come back. We will definitely be sending you a list of the questions that we did not get to, and a list of
just Mitesh alone. We just wanted to share the message that
comments.
He wrote a beautiful message to you, and we just want to forward that to you. So I'll email that to you, Peter, if that's okay. After we're done speaking. And we just want to, again, plug the podcast. Buddha, do you want to tell the lovely bunglers more about your podcast?
Well, again, yes, as you've graciously, and thank you, said that several times, you can find myself and Peter Lawrence's podcast, the Beyond Thundera podcast, on YouTube, Spotify, now Apple Podcasts.
It is, okay.
We're now on Apple Podcasts. It took me a little while to figure out the easiest thing in the world, but apparently I did it, and you can find it on there. Again, on YouTube, I believe it's at Beyond Thundera Podcast. But yeah, if you look it up on any of the major platforms, you can find it there. And we've got right now, I forget how many. Well, all depending on when this airs, we've got a whole bunch of episodes out, and every Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Eastern Daylight Time.
Gotta love that.
Right. But new episodes premiere. Now, we know not everyone's able to catch a premiere because I know how podcasts work, but every Thursday there's a brand new episode out. And I want to say thank you to everyone that checks it out. Also, thank you to both you and Ryan and David for everyone listening. If you did not know, they are on an episode, and we are going to have them back I know we've talked about it, but we definitely have to get you back and maybe bring some of those questions that you weren't able to ask this time.
That's pretty beautiful.
If you need them on quicker that way.
That's perfect.
And we have more time. This was when we did it. It was funny. I had no idea you could collaborate on a YouTube post.
No, Buddha actually introduced this to me. So there you go, technology.
Yeah. Still don't know what the hell it does, but we did it, and be on the lookout for the next one that we do and don't know what it does. But we'll definitely get that up.
And Buddha said those premieres, he actually, I want to say most times you can actually chat with Buddha as the episode is going. So if you can catch those premieres, we suggest you do.
Which is also great too. Like a lot of people don't realize, like Peter's in them sometimes. Dennis, he shows up from time to time. You never know who's going to come into the episode. Even if sometimes the person that the episode is with, and again, sometimes people that were in previous episodes are just there kind of hanging out, Yes. Even if they just stop in and say something, we try to, so I'm usually there from the beginning. Sometimes I'm a little late. It all depends on when I can get there. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. And again, I can't thank everyone enough for that watches. Can't thank you guys enough for being on. And I look forward to our next episode, which I was actually going to be in contact with you this week to see schedules. We can put something together.
Even better. So look at that. This week. Look at that. So, and Buddha has already been set to come on when we do continue on to the next series. So this is not the end of Buddha either on our end. So you'll see him pop up.
It was. I'm just going to sneak on to more episodes of the podcast.
I actually love that too. I love that.
That was amazing. It was like a guest appearance. I love it.
And apparently the book is doing super well because I have now just been told that I have to wait till fourth quarter to get my copy.
Big Bad Toy Store again.
Big Bad Toys. I'm like, I've ordered this early, so I don't know why my book is not coming. So, but when it comes, I'll let
pre-order Bunglers.
So yeah, if you would have gotten on Big Bad Toy Store, you had to get the second printing, and that would be the second printing. We're expecting it in the fourth quarter, hopefully sooner, but we're expecting a fourth quarter release for the second printing. So fingers crossed it'll be here sooner though.
Eventually I will when I get to meet you in person, I'll get my autograph.
That's exactly. So
when I get it. But fourth quarter, people, that's how well it's doing.
And remember, it's available still on Big Bad Toy Store. So if you want to pre-order and get in on that, you have an opportunity still before the fourth quarter. So
you can also pre-order it at ThunderCatsToyGuide.com. We also have a pre-order on the directly through me. Okay, you can get it there. But again, if Big Bad Toy Store, they've been absolutely fantastic. You can pre-order it there as well.
And again, we will have even that Buddha's link to the book in the description. I'm pointing down, but wherever wherever you read these things, it will be in there. Peter's blog will be in the description box below as well as
which Zack is on now, right?
Yes, our Zack is one of the ThunderCats of the day, so that's another thing to check out, Bunglers. And thank you again for Buddha. Did you have to?
I was going to say Zack is actually going to be on Beyond Thundera soon. We're going to be filming an episode with Zack here and coming up, and Bunglers, be sure to listen and keep your eye out for Zack's episode as well.
Yes, please support PETA and Buddha's podcast because you're getting ThunderCats stories you will probably never hear anywhere else. So check them out. And we will be back, of course, at some point with a new episode every week. We'll be here. So thank you again, Bunglers. Follow Peter, follow Buddha. There are links in the description. Our links are in the description box. Radical Retro Rewind, podcast one word, in Instagram, TikTok, and beyond. And Universal Appeal 2020 for David. Thank you so much for this. And again, our future seems bright. So check out Zack's appearance on the podcast. Check out Buddha's future appearances and Peter's. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.